Take a question, Senator Housakos.
I was so eager. Thank you. It's so interesting that you refer to it as a top-down process. I mean, I guess that means you see the Senate as a higher body than the House of Commons. But I don't think I have nearly your expertise on history and procedure at this Senate. My understanding, and I want to ask if it's also your understanding, is that nothing becomes law in this country unless the identical bill is accepted by both houses. And so I hope you can help me understand why you would frame this as top-down. And also, are you aware of any procedural rule that stops someone in the Senate from introducing a bill? We've researched this pretty carefully, and we haven't been able to find one. But perhaps with your greater experience, you know of a rule of procedure that stops this.
Senator Housakos.
Thank you. Honourable colleagues, there's no doubt that this is the upper chamber. That's why it's referred as the upper chamber. It has certain rights and privileges that the other place doesn't even have, even though the reality is both chambers were put together by the Constitution on a complete equal footing. I think it's Section 18 of the Constitution that gives the Senate the absolute same rights, authorities, and powers that the House has, Senator McPhedran. But we also recognize in the British parliamentary system that we don't function inherently just by the written rules. So you're looking in all the wrong places. We also do function very much so in this British parliamentary system on precedents. For example, we have the right to defeat a budget in the Constitution. We have the right to move bills that allow us to spend money. There's nowhere in the rules that say we can't. But we have learned over time that we're a democratic institution, and that in 2025, for that matter in 1995, compared to 1875, the perception of parliaments have changed. So we have to be very cognizant and very careful of the certain inherent rights, democratic rights that the elected House has that we cede. I never said that we don't have them in the Constitution, but we cede them, as I said in my speech, using common sense and being tempered in our approach, knowing what we can do and justifying what we can't do. So, for example, we've come to accept the principle that you cannot have taxation without representation. Thus, there's certain things we don't do here. It's not written in any rule. Also, I think it's common sense that when it comes to amending the Elections Act and imposing on the other House rules that set the way they are governed, I think we're crossing the line, and I think most senators will recognize that we're crossing the line. How often do we make sure, in the principle of the system we have, that there's a clear division between the two houses? This is clearly, in my view, an infringement upon their fundamental rights by the upper chamber. And I can go on and on why we are perceived, in reality, the upper chamber. Just go through the list of protocol. Our Speaker, for example, is fourth on the list of protocol in this country. The Speaker of the House of Commons is fifth. Our Speaker doesn't represent just the Crown, represents the government. It's an order and council appointment. The other place, it represents wholly the elected House in an elected process. I can go on and on about how we are in reality the upper chamber and how this would be viewed as a breach of our place in a democratic parliamentary system.
Senator McPhedran.
Thank you very much, Senator Housakos. I do have another question, and it puzzles a puzzle that I'm hoping you can help me solve here. In the last 20 years, including your entire term as a senator, I know it's not as long as 20, much younger than that, I know. But in the last 20 years, 15 bills have been introduced in the Senate for amending the Canada Elections Act. Never did you speak against it, did you vote against the fact that it had been introduced in the Senate and it was an amendment for the Canada Elections Act, including in one case by a Conservative senator. Please help me understand what makes this bill for expanding voting rights to include 16 and 17-year-olds so different that you would oppose it in this way?
Senator Housakos.
Senator McPhedran, you're referring to that one Elections Canada bill that I did vote. I did vote in favor, I think, of it. I don't remember the details, but I do remember it was many, many, many years ago, because I've been here now a number of years. So the answer to the question is, look, everything evolves in this place, including how we approach certain things. But let me say this. At that particular point in time, I was young, I was naive, and not just as experienced as I am. So it really, really just highlights where with time and experience you become more sage and a little bit more tempered in how you approach things.
Yeah!